I was in the Airbnb with this person. So the plans, we had 1 minute and the next minute I was alone in this Airbnb and completely freaking out, thinking, okay, now what do I do?
When we talk about immigrants and numbers, we stop seeing people. But when we put faces to the stories, we can finally feel.
How long have you been living in Argentina?
So I arrived on New Year's Eve, so the 31st of December, just a couple months ago. I've been here just over 3 months now.
Oh, that's interesting. What brought you to Argentina? That's a big question, I guess.
Yeah, of course. So at the time when I was in Australia, I was working in the mining industry. And in the mining industry, I was really, really fortunate to meet a lot of amazing, amazing people from all around the world. Actually, not too many people in my section were from Australia. So people from South America, Italy, everywhere really. And the people that I met from South America, I don't know why, I seem to have really, really good connections with these people, but specifically in Argentina. And I had a couple of them actually say to me, there is something in your blood, like you need to go and explore South America. Like, I don't know, they just said this to me and I was like, okay. And I kind of started thinking a little bit, but not too much. But I wasn't really sure where exactly in South America, if eventually I did ever go, that I wanted to go. And then I started talking to this guy, and he was from Argentina. And when his visa started expiring, he obviously had to come back to Argentina. So it kind of like made the decision for me. And I thought, okay, all these things are kind of lining up. So yeah, it helped me make the decision and I decided to come to Argentina. So that's really where it all started.
That's a very interesting story. So, what were you doing for this? You say it was a mine. You're working for a mine company, right?
Yeah, that's right.
What
Yes,
was your
working in the
job there?
mines. Just a utility worker. So
Okay.
I was just cleaning the bathrooms, offices, and
Oh,
kitchens of the miners. But it was really good. Get to meet.
sounds like a hard job. Sounds
Yeah,
like a very
well,
tough
yes,
job.
but we made it very fun as well. Lots of TikToks and dancing,
Right.
and yeah, we made it enjoyable. So
That's
really good.
cool. That's cool. So, all right. So, for the audience, Mikayla, can you introduce yourself and also tell us who you were? Who were you before this experience? Who were you in Australia, and who are you right now in Argentina?
Yeah, sure. So my name's Mikayla. I'm 27 years old and I'm from Australia, a little town called Bunbury, which is 2 hours south of Perth. When I was in Australia, I think my confidence probably wasn't where it is now, definitely. So I've always been working a lot. So in Australia, since I was the legal age that I could begin working, I was juggling 3 jobs at once. Sometimes I worked very strange jobs. I was a funeral director, and then obviously I said I work in the mining industry. So things that people don't generally do. Um, and a big reason that I started going into the mines was because I had a fear of flying. So I really wanted to challenge myself, but I would really only challenge myself a little bit when I was in Australia. So when I first started, I would cry almost every night, every morning. It was really, really hard in the mines, not knowing anyone, and I really, really struggled at first. But when I didn't give up and I just stayed there and really gave myself a chance, it became one of the best experiences of my life, really. So I'm really, really thankful for that. Coming to Argentina was a really, really big deal for me. As some of you probably know, I left my friends, my family, my house. I sold everything, gave up my job, and came here. So yeah, it was really, really hard. So 3 weeks later, when I found myself alone, I thought, have I just made the biggest mistake of my life? Um, but it kind of forced me in the best way possible to start finding myself again, finding that independence, and just, yeah, making the decision to try was, again, like the mining industry, like when something's really, really hard, if you give yourself a chance, sometimes it turns out to be one of the best chapters of your life. So, yeah.
I completely agree with you. The last thing you say, all bad experiences are usually a life lesson, and an opportunity to learn
Yeah.
and to renew
Yeah,
yourself, right?
definitely.
So,
Yes.
completely agree with you. Good way of thinking. But before we dive into a little more deeper into your story, you said you were a funeral director.
Yes, I was a
I would
funeral
think
director.
that I would think that's probably the hardest thing to do, but I don't know. Was that
Yes.
hard or
Yeah.
not?
It was hard. I remember I was really, really young when I started. I think I was about 17 when I started.
Wow.
So seeing some things that you probably shouldn't be seeing when you're that age
Right.
of 17. But yeah, I fell in love with the job and being able to help people in one of the most difficult times of their life.
Wow.
So yeah, for me it was definitely an experience I'll never forget.
I believe you. I believe you. That's why I asked you because,
Yes.
oh, wait. She thought that, working in a mine was hard. I'm thinking, man, a funeral director, it's
Yes.
got to be, it can't be
Yes.
easy.
Yes, yes. And doing funerals obviously is more like emotional.
Very emotional,
So,
right.
yes. And I remember like it was such a big responsibility because for a funeral, you only have one chance. For, say, a wedding, for example, you can
Right.
get married as many times as you want, but funeral, it has to be perfect.
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
So, yes.
So let's go into our next question. What was your first impression when you arrived?
Oh, it's a good question. The first thing that I really noticed when I arrived in Argentina was the language. So obviously you know that you're coming to a Spanish speaking country, but until you actually arrive, like you don't completely understand what you're walking into. I remember being at the airport and thinking, wait, I can't understand nothing. Like, and in that's the first moment that you start thinking, what am I doing? You're questioning everything. And then from there, I'm walking to the Uber. And as I'm getting to the Uber, I start walking to the wrong door because in Australia, the steering wheel or the driver's side is on the opposite side.
Right.
So that was a little bit strange. And keeping in mind, I'm very jet lagged at this point.
Right.
And then from there, we're driving on the wrong side of the road. So it was like one thing after the other. And then I remember getting to the Airbnb, the first Airbnb I arrived to, and, looking at all the streets and things, and you see like bars on houses and everything's very secure. Like you have to be really, really careful. And that scared me a little bit. So my first impression was like, what am I doing? Because in Australia, when I had a massive garage sale to sell everything, and everyone asked me like, why are you selling all your things? Like, what's your plan? Are you moving? And I said, oh, actually, I'm going to Argentina. I'm going to South America. And everyone had the same reaction. They were like, oh my God. Like, and they were really, really concerned. They said, it's so unsafe. Like, be careful. Like, I don't know if you should be going. So when I saw those bars, in a way, that first impression was like, is this the confirmation of, those people are right? But that was the first impression, definitely.
When I started traveling for the first time, friends and people that I know did the same thing they did to you, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know what is it about that, but it seems to me like people want to pass on their own fears and,
Yes.
and what you see on TV and stuff, but I don't know if you agree with me, but I remember first time I traveled and I went to a place that I didn't speak the language. It was scary, but at the same time, there was something magical about it because the feeling of being in a different place that you never been and not speaking the language, the struggle of going through that, and then nobody knows you. Nobody knows you.
Yes.
So you can start a brand new life in this place because nobody knows you, who you are, nothing.
Exactly. It's like scary and exciting all at once.
Yeah.
Definitely. I
And,
agree.
and I think it could be addictive if if you don't have problem facing fears. But
Yes.
that was my experience. But I'm glad you agree with me because that's how I felt.
Yes.
So the next question is going to be about. I know you went through hard times over there, and I watched your social media, right? That's how
Yeah,
I got
sure.
to know your story, and uh, if you're comfortable, you want to share what was the you went through. I know it was hard for you being in Argentina. At one point, you were completely alone. Someone brought you there. You
Yeah.
were alone. Can you give us the insight on that?
Yeah, sure. So, um, yeah, so basically I was in the Airbnb with this person. I won't go too much into it, but a little bit I can definitely touch
Sure.
on. So basically, yeah, we had plans to continue our travels and things together. We actually had the plans for the following day, to continue. And so the plans, we had 1 minute, and the next minute I was alone in this Airbnb and completely freaking out, thinking, okay, now what do I do? I'm by myself. I'm in a country I don't understand the language. My friends and family are on the opposite side of the world. I just had no idea, and I already knew that I'd given up everything. So through my mind, I don't know, my mind almost like shut off as well. Like I couldn't comprehend what was happening. Like I just couldn't believe that after the massive process that I went through, because it's not so easy to just give up everything you've known. And I've lived in Bunbury for 27 years. So my first move being to the complete opposite side of the world,
Right.
yeah, it just didn't turn out how I expected. So yeah, it was very, very difficult. But now I can say that I'm glad that it happened, but it had a massive impact on me. It knocked my confidence, and I was really, really dependent on the person I was with as well. So I was having the menus read to me in English. I wasn't paying attention where we were going. I didn't even know how to get transport. I was like a shadow, really. So I
Right.
now when I think about it, I wasn't even living my experience. I was just a follower. So when that gets taken away from you suddenly and you're by yourself on the other side of the world, and you haven't, like, I didn't try nothing. I didn't try to understand the language. Absolutely nothing. I didn't try and make friends, anything. So I found myself in a really, really difficult position. But I was very, very lucky to have really, really good friends back in Australia who were able to help me through that. Amazing people.
Wow. Before I want to give an opinion on that, but I want to ask some question. Maybe the audience might think that I should ask, but was this a relationship? Was this your friend? What was he to you?
Yeah, so he was a relation. We'd only been chatting for a couple of months. So, yeah, but when this kind of came up, yeah, it just seemed like, okay, I'm thinking about going to South America anyway. He's going back, his visa's expiring. It just kind of all lined up for me. So, yeah, it was a relationship.
Right. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, but at the
It's okay.
same time, the benefits you receive from that is unbelievable because you could just fly back, escape
Yeah,
from that, going back to your friends, but you decided to grow, and
yes.
you never know what you're capable of until you're put in a situation and you go into survival mode. So all
Yeah,
the struggles
definitely.
you had with the menu, don't understand the language and anything, and but look at you right now. You put it through and you continue growing. How long do you have in Argentina so far? What you for how long you been there?
So I've been here just over 3 months now.
Oh,
And who knows when I'll go back to Australia or if I ever will.
right. Probably feels
So,
like 3 years now because everything you
yes,
went through. Especially being alone or having family, anything.
yes. Yes,
Wow.
I experienced a lot in a very, very short period of time. Like, so much. I feel like I lived a lot of lives and I definitely have a lot more to do. So,
Now the new people you met, right? And I heard that someone gave you a spot there to stay, like a family friend or
yeah.
something. I Talk about that, because sometimes people
Yes.
generalize a whole culture or a whole country for one situation, but you didn't,
Yes.
right? And you
No.
made new friends. Talk to me about that experience.
Yeah, so I was so, so, so lucky. Like, really, I can't stress enough how lucky I was. So when I was found myself in that Airbnb alone, the first thing I did was called one of my best friends. And I don't know why I called him of all people. I could have called my family, I could have called my sister, but in that moment I felt I just need to call this friend. Like, really, really good friend. So I called him, and he dropped everything. Like, he was obviously busy in the moment, and he stopped what he was doing just to speak with me. And yeah, he was so, so good. And we spoke for quite a while, and he goes, "Let me give you a call back. I'll call you back." And I said, "Okay, no worries." And when I got a phone call back, he said, "Okay, my mum is going to look after you." And I said, "What?" So all I had to do was, I was in Mendoza at the time. I had to get myself to Buenos Aires, which I already had a flight booked for, so it was fine in a way. There was some other things I had to navigate, but I was able to get there. And my friend's mum, who I had never met, was so welcoming and happy to have me in her home, and she did more than I could have ever asked for. And I wasn't calling my friend to solve my problems or to ask for a place to stay. It actually didn't even cross my mind. In that moment, I just needed someone to talk to, and I'm so glad that I reached out. So I was able to stay with her, and we shared mates in the garden, and she helped me get the Sube card so I could get on the transport. She made sure I had pesos, so like just everything I needed. She made sure I was fed, I had a bed. She actually introduced me to some of her own friends and family, and that was just so nice. I felt so part of that family. It was unbelievable, and such a short period of time. One day she was actually going to a Pilates class, and it's not usually my thing, but in this moment, I just thought I just need to start saying yes to these things. Like, I don't have plans. Maybe something can come of if I just say yes, was kind of the mentality. It wasn't easy, but I tried to force myself into during this period of time. And going to this Pilates class, she introduced me to another girl because she was also an English teacher. So also this mum is also an English teacher. So I'm really, really lucky where she could speak to me in English. So she introduced me to another English speaker, an English teacher, really, really nice girl too. And I was telling her, like, I think I'm going to go to a hostel. I want to try this kind of lifestyle. I'm really scared to do it though, but I'm going to try. She asked me, "Oh, which area are you going to go to?" And I said, "I'm going to try Buenos Aires. So I'm going to book a hostel there." And she said, "Oh, my sister goes to a running club in this area. Like, maybe it's a good way for you to meet new people. Let me give you her contact and you can go with her." And I said, "Okay." And I didn't really think too much of it, like, because I don't know if it's in Australia or just the people I was around, but when someone says that, they don't usually follow through with those kind of things. Like, they're just being nice. But here, no, people follow through when they say something.
Right.
So it was really, really nice. So I got the contact of this sister, who's now one of my best friends here as well. And turns out she couldn't go to the running club on the day that we were planning to do. So I forced myself to go anyway, and it was so scary. And I met three really, really nice girls, really, really nice. They spoke a little bit of English, and we were communicating. And yeah, we've been chatting since then as well. So that was nice. And then this girl, the sister of the girl who didn't come to the run club, she invited me out one day. She said, "I'm really sorry I couldn't go to the running club. Let me take you around and do all the touristy things." And I said, "Okay, no worries." So we went to the big bookstore, I can't say nothing here still. Do you know the name of
I
it?
haven't been there for so long, but
Yes,
I know
but you
what
know
you're
the
talking about.
one.
It's a massive
Yes,
library which is very famous.
yes,
It's, yeah, I know what you're
that
talking
yeah.
about. Yeah, I can
Yeah, so we
remember.
went there.
Yeah.
And yeah, we spent the day together, me, her, and her sister. She taught me how to use the public transport. We went to her house and how to swim in the pool. Really, really nice. And then we started getting talking, and she actually invited me to like a church camp. And I was a little bit like, oh, like I'm not sure, maybe, like I wasn't really sure. And then I went to my hostel. So the church camp was in 2 weeks or something.
Mm.
I went to my hostel and I was meeting a couple people there. It was really, really good experience there as well. And this girl started ringing me like, hey, you should come to this church group. Like it's happening tomorrow. Let me know. And I said, oh, maybe, I'm not sure. And she called me one day and she goes, you need to stop overthinking. Like, just come. Like, it's going to be a really good experience, I think. I'm going to be there. I'm going to look after you. You can meet a lot of new people. And I said, I'm really worried for the language because I speak English. I'm not going to be able to. And the camp was for 3 days.
Right.
And she said, come, come, I will look after you. And I said, okay. So I actually missed out on my money for one day of the hostel. I left early. I packed up all my things, went to her house, and I ended up going on this camp. And I remember sitting on that bus thinking, what am I doing? Like, I now have 3 days. Everyone around me was talking Spanish. 3 days. I'm going to understand nothing. This is crazy. And then I ended up meeting maybe five or six, I don't know, that have now become so close with me, so close. And most of them speak a little bit of English.
Right.
There's definitely one guy that he spoke no English at all. And obviously at the time I spoke no Spanish.
Yeah.
So it was quite funny for everyone else because they still try. The people here are so, so lovely. They will still try and communicate with you, even though they can't. They still share the mates. They still try and help you how they can. And yeah, I can't believe like the whole butterfly effect that's kind of happened now. So yeah,
Right.
so lucky.
What a great experience for you. I'm so happy, so
Yeah.
happy for you because,
Thank you.
first of all, I was born there, right? I'm Argentinian and I live in the United
Okay.
States, right? I'm in the United States in Louisiana.
Yes.
And that's how my culture is. That's how we are. So imagine,
Yes.
I come to the U.S. and with that culture, the U.S. is completely different. People are not
Yeah, of
that.
course.
Yeah, you eventually they open up to you, but it's a lot of
Yes.
work. You gotta,
It takes time.
takes time, right?
Yes.
But I'm happy you get to experience that, and that's your story. You share that with a lot of people that are gonna watch this podcast because that's how we are. That's what we do. And I heard
Yes.
this from multiple people from different countries that went there that go through similar experience like you. And
Yes.
another thing that people should know is like, I heard this from a lot of travelers that go all over the world. A lot of them, they worry about how dangerous the world's going to be, but they find a lot of good people like you did in other countries too,
Oof.
right? They
Yes.
help you and they help you solve a problem, whatever the issue is. There's more people than bad people. It's not like you don't have to worry about bad people because every country has those. But
Of
you
course.
can't let that get to you and not get to see the beautiful people is all over the world, different cultures.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Australia is the same. One day I will go see it. I will go see it.
Yeah, yes, you have to. Yes.
I want to go. So let's move on into other questions. So, but I think you answered a lot of the question with your story. How did you find support to rebuild your life after the initial period?
Yes, so it was kind of what I said about saying yes to all the opportunities that came my way. I've kind of found myself a family. Well, that's how it feels for me anyway.
Right.
I feel like I've made my family. I have my friends, really good friends here. So yeah, so lucky, so lucky.
So I know going through this period with this guy was it was tough. But was there any other challenge bigger than that? Because that was a big challenge. Was there any other bigger challenge you experienced that said, man, I want to go back today because of this?
I think honestly, the other big challenge after that would definitely be the language. I've been really lucky here where a lot of the people that I've met do speak English or at least a little bit of English. The times where I've been with a lot of Spanish speakers. Somehow I always manage to have a translator with me. I don't know how, I just become lucky. So, but when I am in a room with only people that speak Spanish, like no English at all, I feel a little bit of an outsider. But even times when in my little friend group that I have now, a lot of them speak English, but some of them don't. So my friends that speak English are having to use their brain a lot. They're translating between the two of us, and at times I kind of feel like a problem, like I'm a bit of a nuisance, because if I wasn't there, everyone can just speak in Spanish and it would be so easy. So I feel like when I'm in a place, sometimes it kind of knocks my confidence a little bit that I can't understand, I can't speak, and I'm kind of, these people are changing their way to help me feel included, which is lovely, but I don't want to depend on other people anymore. I've kind of reached that point now. I've settled down a little bit more since the big challenging things has happened. So now my next focus is definitely to try and learn some Spanish, which is very, very difficult, but
Right.
I'm going to try. So we'll see how that goes.
Well, the best way to learn is what you're doing right now. You're forced to learn. If you don't
Yes.
have to learn it,
Yes.
it's a choice. But now you don't have a choice. So I think
Yes.
if you patient with yourself and stick around, you will learn it, because survival
Yes.
will kick in and you will learn it. It would take months. My first experience learning a different language was the first. I thought that I knew English because I learned English in Argentina, but when I came here,
Yes.
I didn't know it. I
It's
didn't
different.
know it. Yeah, I didn't know it. So when multiple people are talking, when one person is talking, first of all, first experience, my ear sound needed to adjust to a different sound. So a person
Yes.
is talking and I feel like talking too fast and I can't understand that because the sound does not come clear to my ear. So the more you listen to it, and this is without you actually trying to learn English, this is just adapting your sound, your ear to listen to another language. Once your ear
Yeah.
adapt to that sound, it start coming clear to you. Now you actually understand what they're saying, but you don't know what that is, because you need to, I cannot say this word, I don't know what it is. Now I can Google it, I can learn it. Then the second challenge is going to be, once you learn how to talk to one person, is how to be in a group conversation, because now
Yes.
the first 6 to 1 year, you're going to be focusing on one person, but now you can focus on multiple people talking. So
Yes.
it's a process, but I promise you, it will take you over a year to learn it. But the first thing is your ear needs to get used to a different language.
Yeah, of
Because
course.
even if you know how to, maybe if you learn by reading or speaking, your ear cannot capture the pronunciation.
Yes, and I think listening is one of the hardest
Listening is where you need to stay. That's
to learn.
the way you're gonna laugh at this, but when I got here, the hardest thing for me to learn was to see how Black Americans speak, and and movies. Movies, they were Black Americans or rap music. I came here in the 90s, so there was some rap already going on. So I'm thinking, if I learn how they speak to their sound, I would understand anything. And that's how it was. I started listening to rap, watch movies, Black culture over here, and man, it helped me a lot. Then I started learning everything, right? But now in the United States, there's multiple cultures, so accents change a lot.
Yes.
So anyway, sorry, I got carried on with the whole thing, but
No,
language
not at all. It's
the thing.
so interesting as well, because I think, did you learn the UK or the American kind of English as well? Because
So I learned in Argentina. I learned the UK English,
the
because I
UK,
went to an English school when I was in where I grew up in Buenos Aires. There was an English school there. Actually, that little town was all British, almost British, all British descendant. Not just from England. They was from different English-speaking countries from Europe.
Yes. Yes.
But yeah, when I came here, that was a little bit struggle because learning the European English was hard here. People did not understand, and I had an accent too, so that was even worse.
Yeah.
But now I can listen to any accent. That's the other thing. Like
So
that's
good.
what the third phase of learning another language, which understanding accent, because
Yes.
you will think that everybody speaks the same in Argentina, but nobody does. So just like in the U.S. or in Europe, like English-speaking country, Australia. I know you have a different accent than people in the U.K. I already know that,
Yes.
but I can tell that because I've been speaking this language for a long time, and I can
Yeah.
tell. Irish people. But the only way
Yes.
you do that is that's the third phase of really knowing the language, like where you can distinguish accents, right? And yeah, so here in Louisiana, where I am, they have a different accent. New York,
Yeah.
they have a different accent. In Tennessee, have a different accent. Well, in Argentina, the same. Cordoba, Mendoza, Buenos Aires, they all
Yeah.
have different accent, but that comes with time. So that's your third
Yeah.
phase. Now you are more of a pro, right? You might not
Yes.
have the accent in Spanish, but at least you can, you understand that much. So
Yeah, exactly. So slowly,
yeah.
poco a poco.
And the last one thing I would say, phase 4, is going to be understanding cultural jokes because,
Ah, yeah, so different. Oh my
right,
goodness.
right,
I've had a couple people already you guys here call each other, for example, like there's a word I can't remember, like fat or fatty or something.
yeah,
Um, and like if you say
gordo,
that,
gordo or flaco.
yes, yes. And when I heard someone say that to someone else, and I said, "Oh, what does that mean?" And they said, they're telling them that they're like a fatty," and I was like, and they were
Yeah,
like, "No, like it's funny, it's like boludo, like,
yeah,
but you have to obviously be careful who you
right,
say it to, and it can be taken." And I said, "Oh my gosh, like." If we said this in Australia, I don't know if that would be taken so well. And so, yeah, so different and very straightforward here too, like, which I really like people just say things how they are, like, you don't have to worry about hurting someone's feelings, and I think it's so much better, saves so many problems. I really like it.
right. So yeah, the cultural difference is a big thing, and cultural shock
Massive.
is a real thing. There will be
Yes.
a lot of them because they've probably never been out of Argentina. Maybe I would say probably most of them, and when they're going to try to translate jokes, Argentinian jokes to English. They're not
Yes,
you can't
it's not the
translate them.
same.
No, you're
Yeah,
never gonna
I
get it
know.
because I know I cannot translate, or an English joke I can't. So there's
Yeah.
also in terms of culture, Americans, for example, in American English, they might joke about things that are to this culture that for Australia might not be even funny
Yeah,
because it's a cultural
exactly.
thing. We don't know what that is.
Yes, and we're always funnier in our own language. I have so many people say to me, "I swear I'm really funny in my own language."
Right,
And I guess when I'm able to hopefully one day speak Spanish, I'll understand that.
right,
Because,
right.
yeah, I don't know what that's like, but I have so many people say that.
Right. But look, I think you have the courage, and I think you're not shy at all. I think you're willing to. I mean, for everything you've done so far, it's like you don't look like the kind of shy person that wants to get involved, meet people. That's a gift, and I think you will do
Thank you.
fine. And you're also in a country where it's very easy to socialize, which is not going to be a problem.
Yes.
They're pushing you to go out. In the United States, nobody pushes you to go out anywhere. If you don't want to
Yeah.
go out, okay, bye. And
So different. And
yes,
that's the other thing I found. We had like a party or something for one of my friends a couple weeks ago. The party started at like 12 p.m. So I'm thinking, okay, it'll be finished in like a couple of hours. And anyway, then we're all having dinner together. And
right,
as you know, you have dinner here so late, like 10 p.m. or something. So we're having dinner. And I'm thinking, these people are still here. This is crazy. And some people end up like staying overnight, like, or leaving at 3 a.m. And was so strange for me, like, but so nice, like, no one's looking at the time, no one's
right,
pushing you to leave, everyone's just enjoying sharing time together. And I've never experienced that until I was here. So,
Right.
so nice.
How about food, right? Because I know,
Oof.
I'm sure in Australia people they dine at 6 p.m., right?
Yes, yeah, probably like between 6 and 7 is kind of normal to eat food.
Right.
So, yes, here is so different, so late, but I'm so used to it now. I don't know if I could go back to having dinner at 6 or 7.
Right. How about breakfast? In Argentina, our breakfast is basically pastry,
Oh,
right?
yes, I went on this church camp that I told you about,
Yeah.
and I remember they brought out like all these like little baskets of bread,
Yeah.
of pan. And I was kind of like, everyone started eating the pan, and I was like sitting there waiting. And my friend was like, hey, like, do you want to start eating? And I was like, no, like, I'm going to wait for the other things to come out. And she started laughing at me, and I was like, what? And she's like, what do you mean, other things? And I was like, I don't know. Like, I'm guessing we're going to have something with the bread. And they all
Bacon,
started
eggs,
laughing.
right?
Yeah, like
Sausages.
something. Yes, like
Right.
Australia, like something. And she just started laughing at me, and she's like, Mikayla, like, no, this is it. Like, and they had like the dulce de leche,
Right.
and I think they had like another little spread, like maybe jam or something small. And I said,
Right.
what? Like, this is what we're having for breakfast? But now it makes sense because you guys are having dinner so late. There's not really a need to have breakfast, a massive breakfast here.
Right. Well, we have our early breakfast is all pastry. Then we have
Yes.
10, and then at noon, and then we have our afternoon or the
Yes,
beginning
the
of the
merienda.
evening, right? And then later at
Yes.
night.
Yes.
So, did you get a chance to experience the nightlife over there? I know you're young, so I'm sure. Did you try that? You
Oof.
went pubbing, or is that how you
I
call it in
haven't.
Australian? Pubbing? Is that how you call it?
Yeah, or clubbing,
Clubbing?
or pub. We call it pub hopping as
Pub.
well when you hop from pub to pub.
Yeah.
So I haven't done too much. Like I've gone out to a few pubs, not too much. Parties, not so much. I went to one. I traveled actually Patagonia for a little bit.
Right.
So I went to, I can't remember the name of the thing. It was like outside, and it was free as well
Right.
with really good music. So that was nice, but not really any like parties, not a massive party person,
Right.
but definitely something on my bucket list while I'm here. I think I need to go and experience that a little bit more.
Well, look, this was a fantastic story. I like it. So to finalize the podcast, right? Why you don't tell me about your social media?
Yeah, so I started a social media. Actually, I made the account before coming to Argentina because I wanted to obviously document my experience anyway. When I arrived, things were a little bit different to how I expected, and I just thought, I'm not doing this now. Like, I don't know. I changed my mind on so many things for a little while. And as I kind of started slowly coming out a little bit of my shell, like, I don't know, the growth, the healing phase, I guess, I thought, do you know what? Maybe I can help someone. Even if I just help one person, honestly, like, that will just be that's the goal, to help just one person, that when they're going through a difficult time, to not give up. Like, find something, remember your why, look into yourself a little bit more, because sometimes the worst experiences, what seems like that at the time, end up being the best chapters of your life. So yeah, so I made Australiana in Argentina on Instagram and on TikTok. So, and I was really, really, really shocked at the first one. I posted the first video just doing the Argentina effect because of how I was feeling. I started feeling better here after knowing people and feeling so, so, so lucky. So I thought, and I was scrolling through my videos and I said, oh my gosh, look how much I was crying. Like, I was broken. And even before coming, I had a lot of things going on. So it was like an accumulation of things, and coming here and the situation that happened was like the cherry on top for me. So going back, I thought, I want to put this together, and it was for me. But then I thought, if I share this, maybe I can show people that like things can work out and in a better way. So I posted that video, and I saw a couple people seeing it, and I was like, oh, okay, nice. Yeah, okay, nice. And then I woke up the next morning and I can't remember exactly how many people had seen it, but I was like, maybe like 5,000. I was like, whoa, like 5,000 people have seen my video. Like, that's cool. Okay, nice. Maybe one of those people I've helped. I hope so. And carried on with my day. And then I started getting like so many like messages and likes and comments. And at first I tried to respond to everyone and it was impossible. And then I thought, okay. And everyone started asking, like, what happened? Like, everyone wanted to know a little bit of my story. And I didn't want to open up, like, so much just out of respect, obviously, for the other person. So just to do the right thing. But, you know, I still want to share my story, but with respect. So then I thought, okay, I'll share a little bit. You know, this is my story. Like, this is what happened exactly. Like, you know, my job and all the things I did, the big process. So I shared like a little story time kind of thing, really not thinking much of it, just to answer the people's questions. And for me to look back on one day and think, wow, like, okay, now I'm at this point in my life. And people loved it. And I thought, okay. And they were pushing me for more. And I thought, oh, I don't know. So then I started thinking, okay, I don't want to just be about stories and, you know, I don't want to be about, I don't know, drama, I guess, and things like that. But now starting to learn Spanish and the things that I'm seeing and observing while being in Argentina, I want to share with the people. So if people like it, that's great, amazing. But it's a great country, and I think everyone should experience Argentina, even if it's only from your phone screen. If you don't have a passport, like my mum and dad don't have a passport, so mum and dad can, you know, see what I'm up to and follow the journey with me. But yeah, my main reason for continuing, I'm trying to post once a day, even just something small. I did have actually a message the other day from one girl. I have a lot of messages, but this one girl specifically messaged me, and she recently lost her dad. So really, really hard time for her. And she messaged me the other day saying, thank you so much for posting your videos. You've really given me a sense of hope, and like I can keep moving forward. And, you know, even though I'm going through a hard time right now, you're giving me hope that, you know, there's better days to come. And I just want to thank you, and please continue to post. And the timing of this was crazy because I kind of, like, my videos, the views started going down. Like, at first I became a bit obsessed, and then I thought, people don't want to know, maybe I stop. When she sent this, I said, okay, actually, I've really helped someone here. If I can continue to do that and make it two people, like, you know, but for me right now, I've reached my goal. I've helped one person to have some kind of hope. So I'm really, really grateful for that. And yeah, so happy to hear that.
Awesome. This is awesome, man. I love it. I love it. And let me tell you, nothing better than have a purpose when you're doing something, right? One purpose was to do it for you first, and then now you discover that helping other people is great. That's what I'm doing as well, because for me, I'm an immigrant, and I know the immigration right now in the world is a very hot topic, and it's not well received. But my job is to find people like yourself that you are, could be an expat, an immigrant. We don't know what you're going to turn into, but right now you're still an immigrant. Migrating and migrating. When you move to another place, you migrate, and whether it's for a month, 2 months, 3 months. But right now they have labels and they say, well, I'm an expat, I'm this and that, whatever. You went to Argentina for different reasons, right? And people, what they do, they generalize that all immigrants are the same. They're not. You're not the same. My story is different than yours, and there's many stories like that. And my goal is to bring these stories to educate other immigrants, right? Because I see you with the Argentinian jersey, which just means like you're already respecting the culture, right? You know, you're trying to be respectful and learning. And I want to educate other immigrants to do the same thing, right? But also there's a lot of immigrants that go through situations like you are, and they can hear your story. They can even reach out to you after this podcast, right? And help each other, because immigration, when you go into another country, is a very lonely process. When you go into another country, nobody knows you. No one. You didn't grow up over there. You didn't went to school over there. You don't have any friends. And in some cases, you have friends that bring you there and then they split. In some cases, you could be in a relationship like it happened to you and they split. There's many situations. And these stories, what they do is just connect people, especially people like me, you, and other immigrants all over the world, because every country has immigrants, all of them, right?
Yes.
And I interviewed an Argentinian woman that she was living in Australia. She came back to Argentina. She left Australia.
Yes.
So I'm probably going to give you that contact in case you need anything there.
Yeah.
She speaks English, so she could be a good contact for
That
you.
would be amazing.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you so much.
And
Nice. So
that's what
good.
I'm saying. This is what it's all about. I have a purpose for doing it, and it's bringing these stories to educate the local people, the immigrants, and people can connect, with you.
Yes.
And many other stories like that. So thank you for being my podcast. I appreciate you for taking the time, and I hope everything goes well. I hope you stay longer or go back, whatever you decide. But whatever you do, I hope it goes well for you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And thank you for inviting me.